Good morning from the heart of Big 12 country, where the Cowboys of Oklahoma State have headed due north about 4 hours to the Little Apple. Mike Gundy's crew is in search of a Big 12 win after dropping 2 of its first 3. Today they face the legend Bill Snyder, looking to get his K-State team off the schneid in conference play. College football on ESPN is presented by Edward Jones. Big 12 battle in Manhattan, Kansas. Oklahoma State and K-State. Always a fun rivalry with the Cowboys and Wildcats in search of a Big 12 win. Kevin Brown and Heisman Trophy winner Andre Ware with tough stretch runs. This is a very important game. In a sense, almost a must-win for these teams, particularly for K-State's bowl chances. Oklahoma State is the favorite, Andre, and reasonably so because of an explosive offense.
Yeah, they have one. The Cowboys in Dallas actually got the Big 3 kind of coined and started. The Cowboys of Stillwater show up with their version of the Big 3, starting with the quarterback Taylor Cornelius, a big, strong passer. Don't underestimate his 6'6" size. He can certainly run the football, and as well, Justice Hill can run the football. Sub 4.4 speed, runs with power. He can hit the home run at any second. And then on the outside, Tylan Wallace, 3rd in receiving yards in the Big 12. He played as a true freshman. That success has carried over into his sophomore year.
Well, Kansas State not quite as balanced offensively. They are a run-heavy team, and it worked last week. They lost to Baylor, but they scored 34 because of Alex Barnes.
Yeah, the offensive line as well, starting to play well, Kevin, at the right time. Big Reisner at right tackle, Dylan Reisner. But this guy, Alex Barnes, 250 yards on the ground, 3 touchdown runs last week against Baylor. He can run inside. He can run outside. He's got speed to go the distance, and he's got power to get in short yardage situations.
Oklahoma State won the toss, chose to defer, and Duke Shelley will run it back from his own 5 for Kansas State. A team that has struggled uncharacteristically in special teams this year, but it's a good return of 27 for Shelley to begin the game. And it will be K-State football on this homecoming Saturday. Weather is cleared up from a gloomy, rainy Friday. Wildcats have had a couple of quarterbacks play this year. We do not expect Alex Delton to be active today. And so Skylar Thompson, the unquestioned starter for K-State.
Last week against Baylor, 57%. You see the 10 of 13.
Last year against Oklahoma State, it was a signature win for Thompson and Kansas State. They were 20-point underdogs in that game late in the year. Went into Stillwater and won 45-40. It may have been the best game of Skylar's career, and Bill Snyder is hoping for a little more consistency out of his starting quarterback.
Well, he's getting consistency up front along the offensive line. He told us that, and certainly in the running game. So look for him to feature Alex Barnes heavy and a lot throughout this game.
2 plays and 2 carries, and room for Barnes on that right side into Oklahoma State territory and outside the 40, running behind that right side of the line, and Reisner for 29 yards.
Yeah, that's what he could give you. Not much on first down, but he comes back on second down, goes right behind Reisner. A nice kick out block by 71. Everybody on the next level seems to love Dalton Reisner.
Barnes 250 yards on the ground last week, which was the 5th most in K-State history. First pass of the game is off the hands of their #1 target, Isaiah Zuber.
He has had a very consistent year. Excellent speed, one of the fastest players on this Kansas State roster. And things are just starting to click for Zuber on the outside.
Zuber by far their leading receiver, and K-State's 2nd leading receiver, Dalton Schoen, banged up throughout the week. Not expecting to see him today, so the receiving core is a bit depleted. Thompson with a quick hitter to Harris on second down. This is The 5th catch of the year for the redshirt sophomore Isaiah Harris, and he gains 5.
Yeah, he shows good quickness and speed, and there all you want on 2nd down is to try to get something positive. Get yourself to 3rd and medium. This is a scheduled offense. They cannot be in 3rd and long in this game and expect to be around late in the 4th quarter. Got to stay on schedule offensively if you're Kansas State.
And you're in 4-down territory right now. K-State has had some kicker injuries and woes. From the 34, Thompson's pass is high, intended for Zuber, and a 4th down coming up.
You know, where your money's made, Kevin, as a quarterback is that 8 to 12 yard range. You've got to take a little bit off of it and throw a catchable football. The last 2 to Zuber, he has put some steam on it, a lot of mustard, as when my 8th grade coach used to say, a little bit too much mustard, take some mustard off of it. Well, he's got to throttle that thing back where it's a catchable ball. You're at 8 to 12 yards and it's coming 100 miles an hour. Not a lot of receivers are going to be able to reel that in.
Bring in the young receiver Joaquin Gill into the slot right. Little used for this 4th down play. Thompson, with 1 on the play clock, has to take a timeout.
Timeout. Kansas State. Their first of the half. It'll be 30 seconds in length.
Yeah, if I'm the quarterback coach or Coach Snyder, I'd go over to him and tell him. Colin Klein's actually the quarterback coach here. Hey, take a little bit off those slant routes that you're trying to complete to Isaiah Zuber, as you just want it out in front where he can catch it, a nice soft, not too soft where the DB catches up with it, but you know, instead of it being 100 miles an hour, it needs to be about 70.
And that's the man whose team has to defend it, Mike Gundy, who is the only holdover Big 12 head coach from Bill Snyder's first tenure at Kansas State.
I'm kind of surprised they didn't run Barnes on 3rd down, even you know, 2nd down, because they'd had so much success in the running game that if you're going to get to 4-down territory essentially, or even have the thought of going for it, well, you may want to turn around and give it to him again on 4th down.
Well, here's Andrew Hicks for his first career field goal attempt from 51, and it is nowhere close. Well short for Hicks, who has been the punter most of the year, and with an injury to Blake Lynch, takes over as the kicker.
And now coach is probably kicking himself, because the original plan, and he told us this yesterday when we had a chance to sit down and meet with him, that you cross the 50, get her inside the 40-yard line, that's 4-down territory because of the kicking situation. Had the offense out there, called a timeout, maybe overthought that one. Field goal wasn't even close, so he's really thinking, I probably should have gone for it there.
Well, we got our first chance at Taylor Cornelius from a tiny town 8 miles west of Amarillo, Bushland, Texas, population 1,000. A 4-year backup, the last 3 to Mason Rudolph, a former walk-on, and he has stepped in and played as well as just about any scholarship quarterback in the nation. He hits Tyron Johnson for 7 on his first throw. It is a testament, Andre, to someone Mike Gundy calls a dinosaur for sticking around as a backup as long as he did.
Yeah, they created an opportunity for him. He stuck it out and has been rewarded, and he's rewarding this program now.
On the ground here is Justice Hill, and a 1st down run, and he calls him a dinosaur, Mike Gundy, because so many players now, you don't play for a year or 2, you transfer out, you take advantage. Cornelius sat, he learned, he developed. He's got great size at 6'6", 232.
I think he knew the opportunity was going to be there, and he just decided to stay and stick it out. You know, he was a former walk-on, a guy that, don't be fooled by his size at 6'6", over 230 pounds. He can run. He's got good wheels, and coverage breaks down, or you get a pass rusher or 2 there. He is a more than capable runner. Ran for 46 yards last week and a touchdown.
And a couple of big runs in that 48-42 loss to Iowa State. This pass incomplete. Cornelius has thrown 3 balls all in the direction of Tyron Johnson. Caught the first 2 and had no shot at this one with Duke Shelley in coverage.
And bring in Bronson Massey in terms of their pass rush front 4, so to speak, here at Kansas State. And a thinking pass here from the Cowboys.
K-State 5th worst third down defense in the nation. 51% against. Cornelius with a clean pocket and a shot. Overshot Tylan Wallace, their leading receiver and big play threat.
Yeah, they had the third component of their big three, and Wallace, he had a step on the defender about a yard and a half or so, and if that one's dropped in the bucket, look out, because the young man's got tremendous speed. Credit Kansas State, though, for holding up on third down, which is one of the things they talked about, being able to get off the field in third down situations yesterday. Coach Snyder shared that with us.
Zach Seiner gets it away barely, and that might have actually been tipped. Low punt and takes an Oklahoma State bounce inside the 20. Looked like Brock Monty came rushing through to get a hand on it, and it's still a punt of 37 for the Cowboys. Brock didn't get the full Monty on this, just a partial block for K-State. Bill Snyder's Kansas State team holds up on Oklahoma State's first drive after the Wildcats attempted a 51-yard field goal from Andrew Hicks on their first possession. He missed it well short. Only a couple of carries for Alex Barnes on the drive, and the second was quite good.
Well, I think he's going to get a carry right here. Backed up inside your 20. Definitely going back to Alex Barnes.
There he is. Barnes with some good patient running to weasel across the 20. 6 yards on 1st and 10 for the young man out of Pittsburgh, Kansas.
Yeah, he gave credit last week with that performance against Baylor to the offensive line, and in particular Dalton Reisner, who is one of his best friends on the team. But he said, hey, most of that yardage, a big chunk of it, came behind because of the game that number 71 had on the offensive line.
Barnes once again goes to the left side, running away from Reisner. Kenneth Edison Magruder on the stop. Dalton Reisner on the opposite side of that line. Maybe the most impressive kid that we're going to talk to this year. We were just blown away meeting with him yesterday. 4-year starter, 3-year captain. Wants to be a motivational speaker, wants to get into broadcasting after he's done. He may have a lot of football, though, left to play.
Yeah, the scouts really like him. He's a highly rated player, and he's so high that a lot of people think maybe the first round.
Barnes, third straight carry, and stood up on the interior. Big number 99, Trey Carter, the redshirt senior from Dallas, led the way on the inside.
Yeah, just didn't get quite the push along the right side behind Tyler Mitchell, Adam Holtorf, the center, and of course Dalton Reisner at right tackle that they needed. So this is a situation where you're going to play field position. Go ahead and punt the football. You're essentially giving points away if you decide to go for it here. So punt this baby away and play defense.
Well, we've had K-State's kicker Hicks attempt his first career field goal, and this will be Devin Anktel's first career FBS punt. Missed the first half of the season.
Ball start. Offense number 8. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
And that punt will be backed up some.
Yeah, for a disciplined football team that plays under Coach Bill Snyder, those are the ones.
9 minutes and 53 seconds.
Those are the penalties that actually drive you crazy. You can tolerate the effort penalties, the holes or things that happen within a play, but before the ball snaps, those will drive you nuts. Good punt here.
That's a pretty good first FBS kick. Taken to the 25 by Dylan Stoner. 55 yards on Devin Anktel's first career FBS punt. Oklahoma State football when we return.
ESPN College Football is presented by Edward Jones, because understanding what's important to you matters, and in part by the Hillshire Farm brand.
1968, a fire burned through Nichols Hall on the campus of Kansas State University, destroyed nearly all of the K-State marching band sheet music. The only one that survived was the Wabash Cannonball. You just saw that there. K-State students in rhythm. They play it before every home game, the marching band. I didn't see you dancing along to the Wabash Cannonball before the game. What's wrong with you? How dare you come to Manhattan?
I was somewhere getting warm and a bunch of this good press box food that we had.
That's a fair excuse. Cornelius with a flip. This is Chuba Hubbard. Boy, are they excited about him here at Oklahoma State. Redshirt freshman from Sherwood Park, Alberta in Canada, and a gain of 14 on his first touch.
Yeah, we asked Coach Gundy, how do you find all these players in Canada? And you recruit one, you treat them well, and they start recommending a couple of other ones, but that one's going nowhere. His completion to Justice Hill on first down, and actually he's going to be tackled for a loss there, Kevin.
Nowhere would have been better. Chuba Hubbard was recruited hard by Alabama, by Oklahoma, a whole lot of major programs. Marcus Arroyo, who's now the co-offensive coordinator at Oregon, was the running backs coach here, primary recruiter for Hubbard. And they'll flip it to him again. Chuba Hubbard to the Kansas State 46. Eli Walker with a stop, a gain of 9.
Yeah, he's got excellent size to go along with his speed at 6'1", just under about 210 pounds. And you give it to him in the open field, he can certainly do some things with it. Averaging 7.1 yards per carry this year and a couple of touchdown runs.
3rd and 2, you thinking Hill on the ground?
Oh, definitely. No doubt about it. Give it to your best playmaker.
Instead, Cornelius with a flip. He'll give it to Hill in the passing game, and Justice Hill with some hard charging steps takes it to the K-State 35.
Yeah.
11 yards on 3rd and 2.
And that's even better, is when you show it one way and still you're able to get it in the hands of your best offensive weapon, Justice Hill, while he's moving. Already momentum towards the line of scrimmage, going to catch it and have the first down.
A breather for Hill. J.D. King is the back. Good to see for Oklahoma State as Hill really worked on his role in the pass game this offseason. Drills with the wide receivers. First carry for King. Big back takes it for 5 yards down to the 30.
And Kansas State playing a lot of zone, trying to keep things in front of them, and then make a for sure tackle. They're going to give up a little bit on the ground with just 6 defenders in the box. It's easy for Oklahoma State when you count the 5 offensive linemen and then a fullback. So it is basically man for man in the box.
Right back to King and a good cutback. Get inside the 20. You have to respect, I understand, the big play threat for Oklahoma State, but the Cowboys are picking out spots right now on the ground.
I think the first order of business now for Blake Seiler is to stop the run. You've got to add another defender to the box, and they do, creeping the safety up.
And that helps. King is wrapped up almost immediately. Denzel Goolsby, the strong safety on the play.
You saw him creeping up, giving the look of cover 2 on the back end, but he ever so slightly creeps up and helps in the running game. So now I expect more of that going forward from Kansas State, because they have to stop the run. Otherwise, Justice Hill is capable of doing what Alex Barnes did last week to Baylor.
Goolsby backs off the secondary on this 2nd down. Cornelius does give it back to Hill. Tripped up through the middle. And a 3rd down situation coming up. Justin Hughes, the middle linebacker, with a stop.
Man, they like the personnel that's on the field for Kansas State. They being Oklahoma State's offense. They're not substituting. They're not going, at warp speed, but it is no huddle where you can't afford to make a substitution. They've caught them now in a 4-1 look. They can run the football all day long. Now they shift into just 6 in the box is still attractive.
Cornelius complete for the first down, into the end zone. Landon Wolf. He is knocked out of bounds, apparently shy. There's a flag down.
Yeah, they may have gotten Stoner for a pick. Well, Taylor Cornelius is saying touchdown, so wait a minute here. But Stoner came in on a pick route inside to open things up on the outside for Wallace.
Pass interference, offense number 2.
Yeah.
15-yard penalty. Replay 3rd down.
Or maybe they just got Wallace with a shove. Take a look at it. Wallace on the outside. And basically, I think he just may have pushed off. He's the guy actually picking. So now it creates a huge 3rd down situation. And if Kansas State can get off the field here, it'll be a small win defensively for Bill Snyder and his group. Well, it's going to be even longer now. You got the left tackle, Tevin Jenkins, trying to get a head start.
Ball start. Offense number 7-3. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
3rd and 24. And Oklahoma State needs to get from the 32 to the 8. Now you've gone from near touchdown to
almost
hoping you get something for field goal.
Yeah, 53 and in is Matt Amendola's range. So getting on the fringes of that.
Cornelius, quarterback keeper on 3rd and forever, and he is wrapped up. Almost nothing on the play. Daquan Patton, the JUCO transfer at linebacker with a stop, and it is a long field goal try for Matt Amendola.
Regardless of the outcome of this, the way Oklahoma State was going about their business offensively, this is a small win, as I mentioned earlier, for Kansas State and their defense to hold to a field goal attempt after being gouged for yards on the ground and through the air.
Oklahoma State needs to get an 11th player in. An extra lineman out of the formation late, and the Cowboys have to burn a timeout because of it.
Timeout. Oklahoma State. Their first.
Marcus Keys was laid out of the huddle. Field goal try when we return. Field goal time for Oklahoma State, and don't forget, you can stream college football all season long, still half the year to go on ESPN Plus. Start your free trial today. Download the ESPN app or visit ESPNplus.com. This would be a season-long kick for Matt Amendola, who was the nation's leading scorer among kickers last year. He has made 20 of his last 21 attempts. About as good as they come. Amendola to unlock the scoring, and it is good. The pride of Lansdale, Pennsylvania puts the Cowboys up 3-0, and we check in with Chris Cotter.
Time for DirecTV. More for your college football thing. Got a couple for you. First off, Nebraska taking on Northwestern. Look at Adrian Martinez here. He's back and healthy. Finding J.D. Spielman. Cornhuskers go up top early. Vanderbilt and Florida Gators coming off a huge win last week against LSU, but in Nashville, and Jared Pinkney on the receiving end there. 7-0 Commodores over on ESPN.
Anchor down.
Little letdown spot maybe for Florida this week.
Well, Vanderbilt is, you know, they've played some really good football at times during the year, and it's, you know, they're at home. Florida's coming in. Maybe a little bit of an overlook.
This is an interesting day in college football that we have for you. Lots of ranked teams on the road. Of course, we have the two ranked versus ranked matchups later today with Oregon going to Washington, Wisconsin, and Michigan, but Colorado visits USC.
Yeah.
UCF is at Memphis in a tough one, and the big one in the SEC, Georgia on the road at LSU.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe people are trying to sell that Memphis game, but after seeing UCF last week, I don't think that's going to be close. It's just too much speed on the field for the Knights, the Golden Knights of UCF.
Most of the game day crew agrees with you, although Bear did take Memphis in the upset.
You know, he's taking them with a different algorithm involved.
Bear versus Ware in that one. Isaiah Zuber with a good run back for K-State, and he stepped out of bounds. He had nothing but green in front. Zuber, though, could not stay in, and he is ruled out way back in Kansas State territory.
Yeah, but what I like is he finished the run. So if they go back and they review this, let's take a look. Oh boy, what a fine job of blocking by Kansas State's kick return team, and clearly out of bounds, and really didn't have to be. I mean, he had plenty of room along the sideline that he didn't have to veer as far right as he did. I think I got to find a way to get Isaiah Zuber an end around, or figure out a way to get the ball in his hands. Yeah, he saw it, and he didn't have to do it.
On the ground of Barnes, first play of this drive. Well, Kansas State has been so strong throughout the years on special teams. It hurt them last week. Zuber lost a fumble on a kickoff. This is, of course, not the same kind of mistake, but you're right. There was an angle there and a chance to take it all the way.
Yeah, I mean, if he just hugs the block, he's gone. I mean, it's a different ball game.
Barnes hit from behind in the backfield and dropped by Kenneth Edison Magruder. But Thompson kept it, beg your pardon, on the fake. Faked out the back of the Oklahoma State defense, including some of us in this booth, at a huge play for 14.
I like the play fake. That's what froze the defense. Going to Barnes, he just kind of holds it just long enough for the defensive end of that side to crash all the way down, and then Skylar Thompson around the corner for another big first down for this Kansas State offense.
We've discovered why I'm not defending the run pass option.
You follow the play fake.
Thompson has it on the fake this time for sure. Had all day to throw. A late rusher, nowhere to throw, so Thompson will take off. This kid can gallop, and Thompson has 8 yards before he finds the ground on the Oklahoma State sideline.
Yeah, they tell me that with Skylar Thompson, they like to run some quarterback power. He's not that type of runner, but if you give him some space in the open field, he can continually make plays like this with his legs. Not a bad athlete, decent speed, but just not the power to run between the tackles when they decide to go, quarterback draw or counter with a quarterback keeping the ball in his hands.
And with Alex Delton out today, very possible K-State shies away from that quarterback power run game. Barnes here. He takes it close to the first down marker, the 33. Appears to be just a bit short.
A nice job by Kansas State to get penetration to reroute Alex Barnes and not let him get at speed going north and south, forcing him outside. See here, 9 rushes, 3 passes today. We felt like they were going to feature Alex Barnes, and that was what it was going to take to have an opportunity to win. Still feel that way.
Third down, Barnes. First down. Kept his balance. Alex Barnes finally taken down by Kima Sivaran, the grad transfer from Texas A&M, but not before 7 yards.
Yeah, and I think he may have been gone if he doesn't trip over one of his own offensive linemen who's fighting in the hole to get him a block. Picks the feet up, and he is high stepping into the end zone. This is an impressive drive by Kansas State, featuring Alex Barnes and Skylar Thompson on the ground.
Thompson back to Barnes. Kansas State last in the Big 12 in passing yards per game and quarterback rating. It's simply not their strength, and they are playing to their strength right now. Last week against Baylor ran for over 300 as a team, 319 in total, a season high as a group.
Yeah, we asked Coach Snyder, who's the MVP of the offense to this point in the season? And he quickly pointed to Alex Barnes and then gave some credit to the offensive line. 10 rushes in a row for Kansas State on this drive.
On a 2nd and long, Thompson will finally throw it. That streak ends with a completion to Zuber, a yard or 2 shy of a first down.
A nice mix-up right there where you're thinking on 2nd down.
Third down.
Well, actually a late ruling of an incompletion.
Wow. I thought for sure Zuber got the tap down. Ball's a little bit late. Yeah, you just got to know as a player, and that's the second time for Zuber, where you are on the field. You can have blazing speed, you can have the best hands, but if you're not in tune with where you are on the field, those types of plays are going to continue to happen.
Isaiah Zuber will not be taking the right sideline to the homecoming dance tonight. Third and long.
So you're saying he's ready for the second quarter to start?
We'll work on those tap dancing moves during the break, maybe. Second timeout for K-State. 6:30 Central. That one on ABC. Both games streaming live on the ESPN app. Third and long for Kansas State after the incompletion to Zuber. And again, this is not guaranteed field goal territory with the injury to their kicker Blake Lynch.
Well, I think it's definitely 4-down territory for Coach Snyder here. So third down, you want to make sure that you get it to a manageable situation on fourth. If you're going to go for it, I give it to Barnes again.
And there's not much in the box. Play clock was down to 1, and it's a pitch to Barnes, hurdling his way to the sideline and punctured out of bounds to set up fourth down. Gain of 5. It's 4th and 4, and it is a more manageable field goal situation, but Thompson and the offense are still on the field.
It's also a more manageable fourth down situation here than they had earlier. So I think you go for it. I totally understand and agree with it. When you have special team problems with your kicker, you go for it here.
K-State needs the 17. Thompson looking over the middle. He'll pull it down. He'll run for it. And he has it. First down, Wildcats.
Well, when you have a quarterback that can make plays with his legs like Skylar Thompson, it forces you to play 11 on 11 defensively, and you have to account for him. Now, it's happened on a couple of occasions. Oklahoma State's going to be forced to put a spy on Skylar Thompson. They're dropping in man coverage, turning their backs, running with receivers. That's allowing him some big chunk yards, and he's converted a few times on this drive.
Another first down run for Barnes, who is popped. Trey Carter down low. Malcolm Rodriguez came in up high from the secondary.
Boy, Thompson gave it there. That's one he's going to watch the film tomorrow and wish that he'd pulled and kept, as everybody's going with Alex Barnes now. And even after a couple of successful drives, he is still being let loose out the backside.
11 carries in the first quarter for Alex Barnes. Could be another big day for him. K-State on the move when we return. Kansas State had 92 yards in the first quarter. 87 were on the ground. They continue to move the ball inside the 20. Down 3-0 against Oklahoma State. This drive has already lasted more than 5 minutes, and Alex Barnes has been the bell cow. 11 carries in the game after a 250-yard game last week. Here's Barnes again to start the second with some physical running. Down to the 9-yard line, a pickup of 7. Justin Phillips in on the stop.
Yeah, well, Kansas State's decided to turn it into a physical football game. 19 plays have been run. 14 of those, 15 of those have been on the ground, led by that young man, Alex Barnes. Had some first quarter on the ground for Kansas State.
Cats have brought in an extra tight end, Matt Jones, on the left of the line. Blaise Gemin on the right for a 3rd and 2. Barnes crunched in the backfield.
And they loaded it up because the majority of the success for Kansas State has been behind Reisner, the right tackle, and also Tyler Mitchell, the right guard. Well, what does Kansas State do? They load the left side of the defense the right side of the offensive line, and they leave one unblocked. Nice job by Jordan Brailford on that tackle of Alex Barnes.
Brailford 12.5 tackles for loss, leads the nation in sacks, 4th in tackles for loss per game. And now the field goal try, a much more manageable one, and that is through from 31 for Andrew Hicks. 3-3, long drive by K-State leads to points, and we're tied in Manhattan. ESPN College Football is presented by Edward Jones. Longest scoring drive of the season time-wise for Kansas State, over 6.5 minutes. Andrew Hicks slots through his first career field goal, and we are tied at 3. Between Texas Tech TCU on Thursday night and this one might wonder what happened to the Big 12. Where are the shootouts we're accustomed to seeing? Not here right now in Manhattan. Chuba Hubbard on the return. We have seen those shootouts, though, the last 3 years between these teams. They've been good ones. 2015, Ben Grogan with 32 seconds to go. 37-yard field goal, 36-34 win. Last time here in Manhattan, Oklahoma State, the last 15. Mason Rudolph was awesome. But K-State got revenge last year, a 20-point dog on the road. Skylar Thompson, the best game of his career, threw for 3 touchdowns, ran for 1. And the Wildcats got their first win in a long time at Stillwater. 8 of the last 11 games in this matchup, Andre, decided by a touchdown or less. They always seem to make it fun down the stretch.
Yeah, it's been a fun series to watch the last couple of years, and close, hard-fought games, and we are headed right down that road again this afternoon.
Oklahoma State finally with the ball back after that quarter-spanning Kansas State drive. Bill Snyder loves bleeding the clock, letting his offense work on the ground. Some motion here, and J.D. King takes the handoff, the backup running back, for a gain of 7.
Yeah, they seem to go with the flow, and the offensive line, when you zone block, everybody's moving one way. It just created a nice big seam on the backside for King, who stuck his foot in the ground and got upfield. Watched Arian Foster do that time and time again with the Texans. Some guys just have a knack for where the soft spot is in the zone blocking scheme.
Oklahoma State 12th in the nation in scoring offense and yards per play. And on 3rd down, they have to use another timeout.
Gonna wish he let that one go, because
Prior to the snap,
King was gone
timeout.
again.
It'll be 30 seconds in duration. Preset the game clock.
So each team has burned 2 timeouts in the opening half, and Mike Gundy will talk over a 3rd down play. Week 6 NFL Sunday kicks off tomorrow. We have you covered at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 Central, with Sunday NFL Countdown, previewing the big Sunday night game between the Patriots and Chiefs, Steelers, Bengals, Chargers, Browns. Baker Mayfield, the former Big 12 standout, taking Cleveland by storm. Breaking stories and injury updates. We have everything for you on the ESPN app and live on ESPN. Of course, the great K-State wide receiver Jordy Nelson with the Raiders. Darren Sproles did not play Thursday night. Eagles are hoping to have him back soon.
He can still roll.
Alex Barnes last week, most rushing yards in a Big 12 game for K-State since Darren Sproles 15 years ago, still the all-time leading rusher here.
You see Kansas State creeping another defender into the box to defend the run.
That was a good play call as Cornelius kept it on the fake and rumbles down to the Kansas State 41. First down for Cornelius, 27 yards. He is 6'6". You mentioned the size, but he can move.
Yeah, he can. He got everybody flowing with J.D. King to one side, and then big Taylor Cornelius, I wouldn't even say lumbering. I mean, those were nice big strides for a guy 6'6", 232.
He was an all-state athlete in 4 sports in high school, coming out of Bushland, Texas. It's Tylan Wallace here, one of the Big 12's leading receivers for 9.
It is impressive, though, that he hung around, fifth-year senior, to wait for his opportunity to be the quarterback of this program. And he's playing some good football.
He'll look to throw again. Take a shot on 2nd and short. Single coverage in the end zone, and Duke Shelley took away the football. Duke Shelley's got the interception, his 7th career for K-State, and he beat Tylan Wallace to the football.
Well, I tell you, Taylor Cornelius just flat out missed one. He pumps left and comes back to Tylan Wallace, and it ends up in the result is an interception by Duke Shelley. But on the other side of the formation, the receiver to that side, I think it may have been Tyron Johnson, came wide open. He faked left, came back right, and winds up throwing the interception to Shelley. But it is a punt to the receiver on the other side. He and along with Mike Gundy will be kicking themselves tomorrow when they turn on the film.
Turns out to be a 2nd straight week with an interception for Shelley, who reeled it in off the bobble. K-State on the ground, Dalvin Warmack with his first carry, and some tough running for their scat back at 5'8", 187 with a gain of 6.
Yeah, the offensive line getting some nice push up front, kind of reestablishing the line of scrimmage. And why would you go away from it if you're the offensive coordinator, Andre Coleman? The only way I go away from the run now is that all of a sudden there are more bodies there than I can block. With that 3-man front, no problem in the running game.
Here comes the safety, Colby Peel, creeping up. Extra defender in the box, and Peel is the man with a takedown on Warmack in the backfield for a loss of 2.
So now you're there long enough to see the safety, the true freshman Colby Peel, start to creep down. That's when you've got to have a quarterback with some flexibility to change the play. If you just go to a simple 3-step drop and throw Isaiah Zuber a slant route, or give him a go route or something to where you can stop Oklahoma State from meandering around the line of scrimmage.
Thompson out of the reach of an open Zach Reuter across the middle, and a missed connection will lead to a punt.
Yeah, and Reuter is a solid possession receiver. I mean, he has got great hands, and a guy that you just need to get it in an area, throw him a catchable ball, and you got the first down. He doesn't miss very many balls where he's targeted.
Cowboys, number 17, Dylan Stoner, and number 88, Landon Moore.
Devin Anctill's first punt was 55 yards. That was his first punt ever at the FBS level. And the JUCO transfer gets away a spiraling one. Dylan Stoner makes the fair catch. Good field position after a punt of only 34 this time for Oklahoma State.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by McDonald's.
Duke Shelley all of 5'9", 180 out of Tucker, Georgia. With his 7th career interception. It is our mayhem moment, brought to you by Allstate. And as Shelley got this football in single coverage with a dangerous Tylan Wallace.
Yeah, excellent job of knowing where you are, keeping his feet in bounds, and he is having some season. Co-captain, had 2 pick-sixes to his credit, so I wouldn't be messing around with number 8 very much.
One of 3 contributing defenders on K-State's team from the same high school, Tucker High School in Georgia. The Tucker to Manhattan pipeline has provided Shelley, Justin Hughes, and Elijah Sullivan for Bill Snyder.
This offense of Kansas State, figure averaging about 44 points a game coming in, that they would be a lot more explosive, and maybe Justice Hill needs the ball in his hands a little bit more for Mike Gundy.
And 5 yards there. Cornelius, first drive after the interception. Looking deep down the right side again. In double coverage, Wallace got up and got the football inside the 10. Spectacular grab for Tylan Wallace, the 6th leading receiver in the nation. This one for 43.
Well, you got the safety in cover 2 over the top, and he takes a horrible angle. That's Eli Walker. Horrible angle to help the corner to that side, and it results in a big play by Oklahoma State.
Cornelius on the keeper, searching for the end zone, diving for it, and he is signaled out of bounds at the 1-yard line.
Well, we just talked about it, averaging 44 points a game, kind of been held in check. Not the kind of shots that we're used to seeing Oklahoma State take. And what do? They go right to the 3rd component in the big 3, and Tylan Wallace comes up with a big catch, putting him in point-blank range here.
The previous play of the runner short of the goal is under further review.
David Ames, our replay official, will get a look, see if Cornelius did find the end zone before he was out of bounds.
Not sure, watching the replay, it looks like he may have stepped out of bounds. I don't know if there's going to be enough video evidence to overturn this call. There, it's clearly out of bounds, so they'll confirm it, and we'll get back to action here in a little bit. Good call by the line judge to that side of the field.
Shout out to Frank LeBlanc, our line judge today, for being on top of it. Question, of course, when the foot is out of bounds, where is the football for Cornelius, who ran for a touchdown last week, has run for 3, thrown 16 this year. Oklahoma State is down in this position again because of a big play by Tylan Wallace. You mentioned the angle on Eli Walker, number 7, on this play.
Yeah, he got behind A.J. Parker, but it was the angle that the safety Walker took coming over the top in which to help out. And they all everybody missed times it except Wallace, who comes down and makes one heck of a catch. What I also like about the route is he gave the quarterback enough room in which to work along the sideline. Sometimes
After
receivers
review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. The goal line.
Sometimes receivers get too close to the sideline and wind up drifting out of bounds where it's a non-catch. Yeah, nice job there by Wallace. He's been coached up well. Casey Dunn, the receiver coach at Oklahoma State.
Well, he's got to fill the footsteps, or at least step in for a good one. They had Junkyard Jim Washington, Biletnikoff winner last year, now with the Steelers.
They've always produced some pretty good receivers. 3 Biletnikoff winners in the last 7 years.
From the 1, Cornelius gives it to King, and King does not get in. Justin Hughes, another member of the Tucker, Georgia contingent there for the stop to set up 3rd and goal.
I think in a tough game like this, you need to break through, so it's 3rd and goal. I'm already thinking, if I'm Mike Gundy, that I'm going for it here on 4th down. If we don't get in on 3rd down, we are going for it here with an offense of Kansas State that's been kind of stagnant itself. The chance to pin them deep. Let's roll the dice.
It's a flip play. Not even close.
Well,
Tylan Wallace crushed by Wyatt Hubert off the end for a loss of 4.
Now that changes things, because you are no longer 4th and goal inside the 1-yard line. That's a huge play by Wyatt Hubert, the defensive end of that side. Very athletic. He's tough. Pushed for playing time in camp last year before ultimately redshirting, and he wanted on the field this year and is making plays like that.
Amendola from 22. Oklahoma State gets down to the 1 after the Cornelius run. They don't give it to Hill. It's the big back King, and then the flip to Wallace, and the Cowboys get 3 and not 6 because of this play by Hubert. Oklahoma State stood up on a couple of plays from the 1. And after a loss for Matt Amendola, slots through a field goal from 22, 6-3, and a normally high-scoring series. Oklahoma State on top of Kansas State. Kevin Brown, Andre Ware, and our entire ESPN crew. Happy to be in one of the great college towns in the Midwest, Manhattan, Kansas, where they are decked out purple for K-State's homecoming game.
I think both teams feel, you know, kind of the pressure of the importance of this game going forward and bowl chances, bowl opportunities. But you see the total yards there. Not a total dominant game by Oklahoma State, 165-98 with Kansas State with their possession here. But I think both teams kind of feel the pressure. They're playing like, you know, both teams want to win, and it's homecoming for Kansas State.
Wildcats have passed for just 5, and they'll keep it on the ground here with Barnes. I mean, it's certainly, in terms of a bowl game, it's certainly a much tougher task right now for Kansas State, which is 0-3 in the conference. Both teams have a bye week after this, but K-State still has to go to Oklahoma, has to go to TCU. They've got to find a way to 4 more wins. Now, to their credit, they were 3-4 last year and won 5 out of 6 to end the season in what was not one of K-State's finer seasons, but they scratched and clawed, beating Oklahoma State as a big underdog, beating Iowa State on the last play of the game to make a bowl. In all likelihood, if they get back to a bowl, it would have to be with a win today. Thompson just throws it away. 3rd down coming up.
No, I'll add 2 more games to that schedule you were just talking about. And late in November, Texas Tech, who's playing some really, really good football for Cliff Kingsbury. And then at Iowa State, who took down this Oklahoma State team last week and beat them by a touchdown. So it's a tough road for Kansas State, and they're going to get there. They have to have this one today.
They have to have another completion from Skylar Thompson. He's completed 1 pass in the game, 1 for 6. Thompson deflected, zinged around, and Jarek Bernard was in coverage there with a pass originally intended for Reuter. Another K-State punt coming up.
Yeah, he goes to Reuter, but he has Alex Barnes on a check and release across the middle where it's an easier throw. There's nobody around Barnes. Everybody's around Zuber. You're going to see Barnes in the middle of the screen just kind of come open. It's a nice little dump pass. All he's got to do is turn and get north and south, but Thompson misses it.
It's a returnable punt off the leg of Anktil for Stoner and well covered up. Oh, what a difference a week makes. Around this time last week, Oklahoma State had allowed 1 incompletion. Today, 1 completion. Be a few more completions in Eugene, I think, with Mr. Herbert, Mr. Browning, Washington and Oregon, then Michigan looking for a signature win against Wisconsin in the Big House, 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central on ABC.
I'm going Oregon in the first one and then Wisconsin in the second.
Okay. I'll take Oregon and Michigan. Active leaders, rush yards per game in the Power 5. You'll see Taylor and Gaskin later on ABC ESPN2, and you see Justice Hill here. Cornelius on the run. Another deep shot, incomplete. Landon Wolf was the target, and good coverage on the play. Walter Neal, the sophomore from Lawton, Oklahoma, with the coverage.
Neal almost came up with the defense's 2nd interception. Comes in nickel situations, a walk-on who just kind of worked his way on the special teams, and then now he's in the rotation. Now the starting nickel back for Kansas State.
He's been banged up, as much of this secondary has been. Kavian McGee, Denzel Goolsby, Jaron McPherson have all been hurt. Cornelius through the hands of Wolf, and it's about now where I ask you, Andre Ware, why do you think Justice Hill only has 4 carries to this point?
I mean, I guess it's something in the game plan where they figure Kansas State's going to really have eyes on Justice Hill, but now he's not even on the field. But I don't know if it's an injury. Who knows what the reasoning is, but only 4 carries in the game for 16 yards.
Cornelius 9 for 14 throwing with the interception. On 3rd down, he will check it down to King, who needs the 47 and does not get it. Duke Shelley knocks him out of bounds after 5 yards.
We've seen King, we see Hubbard. Both have carried the ball. And no Justice Hill. So I could only imagine there's something that's slowing the progress of a dynamic player like Justice Hill.
Quick 3 and out. Isaiah Zuber back to receive the punt from Zach Seiner. Was one of the nation's best punters a couple of years ago. Down year last year and has been strong this season. Zuber from his own 18 spins around, goes backwards, now cuts it back upfield. It was a pretty 3-yard return after a kick of 40. Kansas State ball 5.5 to go after the punt return for Isaiah Zuber, who went backwards to go forwards to get 3 yards. Nifty little return for Zuber, who you may notice was wearing number 7 in the previous shot, wears number 4 on the punt return because Eli Walker, number 7, also plays on punt return. And Isaiah Zuber could host SNL because he's got the quick costume change part of it down.
You're a bad man when you have 2 numbers.
He wears the zip up.
And a pretty good tailoring job by the Kansas State
no kidding.
Equipment managers, equipment staff.
Zuber is out there now wearing his usual 7 as Barnes takes it. This is what happens when you have this double numbers epidemic in college football. Kansas State actually has 2 triple numbers, so you can't have them on the field at the same time, and that's why Zuber will wear the number 4 zip up on punt returns, because if you had Zuber and Walker both number 7s together, it would be a penalty. You have double numbers when you were playing in Houston? Was that a thing back then?
I think so, because back then there was no 85 scholarship limit. Yeah. You can have just about as many as you wanted in terms of walk-ons and things of that sort. So, oh yeah, there were definitely double numbers.
Anybody wear your number?
No 11s. No 11s. No double. Only one of those.
I thought somebody might, some walk-on might want to be confused with you and try to wear 11 around the campus. Hey, is that Andre? Is that Andre Ware? He looks smaller in person. 3rd down, Kansas State has still completed 1 pass in the game. Skylar Thompson, the unquestioned quarterback today, with Alex Delton sidelined for a 2nd straight game. Timeout before the play clock expired.
Prior to the snap, Kansas takes their 3rd and final timeout of the half.
So Kansas State out of timeouts for the half. It has been a bit of a sloppy football game in a few different measures.
Can't take them with you.
No,
so you
that's
might as
true.
well spend them when you think it's an important situation, especially in the first half of a football game. And there's a running back comparison. We felt like both guys would play a big part in this game today. Well, it's been Alex Barnes, who is the leader right now in the clubhouse, 16 carries for 72 yards, 4.5 yards a carry. And I'm not quite sure what's going on with Justice Hill with just 4 carries in this ball game. Had a couple of receptions early, but that's been about it.
Justice Hill, the longest streak in Big 12 history for running backs, 12 consecutive games with a touchdown.
And it's not like other backs, where you would think, oh, it's just the game plan. Well, you've had other backs carry the football in Hubbard and King, so we're scratching our heads just about as much as the viewers are, maybe.
Wide splits on the defensive front for Oklahoma State. Thompson They'll check it down to Barnes. He needs the 31. He hurdles out of bounds at the 31 and has a first down on Kansas State's second completion of the game.
That's a nice job by Thompson to finally get there, but you got to get through your progression a little bit faster and get it out to Barnes, where he's got an opportunity to get up the field rather than dodge a defender and eventually pick up the first down.
That's the left tackle, Scott France.
I'm not sure if Jarrell Owens came into the neutral zone, which caused Scott France to jump.
False start. Offense, number
France.
74. 5-yard penalty, first down.
And France has a ton of experience. He started 32 games at left tackle, played well against Myles Garrett a couple of years ago in the team's bowl game, the Texas Bowl. I think he held Myles Garrett to just one tackle that game. Coaches feel like he could still be an all-conference player. Just a junior.
He's the first freshman to start a whole season at left tackle in the Bill Snyder era. Third year there. Harris ran into his own man Zuber and then is spun down to the turf after no gain, maybe a yard or so.
Skylar Thompson, Kevin, is just a little bit off. You know, even that one had a bunch of heat on it as it made its way to Isaiah Harris. Just throw something out in front where it's catchable and he can make a move. It's going so fast it led him right into one of the receivers out wide trying to block for him.
Last year against Oklahoma State was Thompson's finest hour as a K-State quarterback. He has struggled mightily today. 11 yards on 9 attempts. Thompson will run it here, eluding a defender out of the secondary and out of bounds near the 36. That was Malcolm Rodriguez, who couldn't track him down. 9 yards on the run.
Got a big portion of it back to bring up third down and about 6. It's a manageable situation here for Kansas State to stay on schedule. They're right on schedule even after the Scott France false start. So look down here to pick it up. They've been dropping deep in zone drops, that being Oklahoma State. And so it may be an opportunity to check it down to Barnes again and let him run for a first down.
That's a flag, I think, against Brailford, who got a step early for Oklahoma State. Thompson may not have seen the flag. He pulled it down and ran out of bounds for nothing. But Jordan Brailford, 94, may have been across the line too quickly.
Yeah, and that's one, if you do catch it as a quarterback, you just throw it to the deepest route because, you know, it's a freebie. This is going to be close to a first down. It was about 5.5 yards, close to 6.
Defense, number 94. That 5-yard penalty results in a first down.
And it does indeed result in a first down.
2:14 away from the half. We update you on some early Big Ten action and preview the biggest Big Ten game later tonight. Wisconsin, Michigan. Are the Gators getting swamped against Vanderbilt? 21-3. And Ohio State in some trouble with Minnesota. Big Week 7 Saturday. Chris Cotter and the gang will get you caught up. Thompson. Adjustment of the football made by Isaiah Zuber, but he could not reel it in with Jarek Bernard in coverage.
Just didn't have quite the arm strength because Zuber had a step. He had to stop and come back just to make an effort to catch the football. Get that one on out there, and if you don't have that kind of arm strength, get it out earlier where you don't have to throw it quite as far. Well, they felt like Skylar Thompson has a ton of abilities. Just got to trust the things around him.
Barnes with a big hole to start to midfield to set up a 3rd and short.
What do we talk about every time teams throw on first down, unsuccessful and incompletion or goes for nothing? What are they going to do on 2nd down? Come back and run the football because you want to get back on schedule. Excellent play call by Andre Coleman, the offensive coordinator, going right back to Barnes and let him get you in a situation where you can convert here on 3rd down. Mentioned the deep zone drops by Oklahoma State. He's doing it again right here.
One of the best rush defenses in the nation has already allowed more in this game than their average, and Barnes spins free. A broken tackle gets him to the 42 of Oklahoma State. First down with 1:10 to go.
Yeah, getting around a minute. They're going to have to pick up the pace now because of no timeouts. Had to spend all 3 timeouts just to get to this point. Now you got to hurry it up a little bit. That's one heck of a run by Barnes to spin free and pick up the first down.
Malik Knowles, a true freshman with a good week of practice, has come into the slot left. He has not made a catch in his college career. K-State in no rush here with 43 seconds. Thompson pressured immediately out of the pocket. He'll pull it down, look to run, has to get out of bounds, and does with no timeouts remaining.
Smart play, knowing exactly where you are on the field and the situation in the game. No timeouts. If you had a timeout, you could cut that back inside, pick up some additional yardage, spin the timeout. But with no timeouts, get out of bounds, stop the clock. You can huddle. At this point, they're kind of what we call huddling along the line of scrimmage, making sure everybody gets the play call and we're all on the same page. Now let's get down to business.
Oklahoma State will use its final timeout.
Oklahoma State takes their 3rd and final timeout of the half. It'll be 60 seconds in length.
Remember, Kansas State is still nowhere close to field goal range. Andrew Hicks was well short from 51, the first ever game for him as a field goal kicker. That was earlier today. Well, this season, for every field goal, an extra point made by participating universities. All-State will make a contribution to that university's general scholarship fund. Thank you, All-State. And you figure with Hicks right now, you probably have to get to about the 20-yard line or so to feel more comfortable.
I don't know that there is a yard line where Coach Snyder's going to feel comfortable.
We look good from 31 earlier.
Okay, so he gets there. He gets to 30 and maybe inside 31 or so before he's extremely confident in the young man, but he didn't sound overly confident about his kicking game yesterday when we talked to him.
We asked him who was going to kick, and he said it might be me.
Yep.
We asked Bill Snyder, what's your range? He said it's about as far as yours. Little does Bill know, you have kicked a 67-yarder in your life before.
Yeah. No.
Oh, that was a golf shot.
No, yeah, maybe a golf with a golf club.
Yeah.
34-yarder though to win one in high school.
Did you really?
Yeah. Oh, I kicked in high school. Yeah.
So you could kick. You might have the best range.
I absolutely kicked in. I was an all-district kicker in high school.
Nothing this man can't do, folks. So 2nd and 6 for Kansas State. No timeouts. First down marker at the 31.
Quarterback draw looks attractive. Whew.
Oklahoma State brings pressure off the edge. Thompson goes over the middle, and it is incomplete off the hands of Reuter in double coverage.
Well, no harm, no foul, because it's 2nd down and an incomplete pass that stops the clock. So, you know, it's almost better than having it completed and having to rush to the line of scrimmage. Four down territory here for Coach Snyder for sure.
No Barnes in the game. Warmack is the running back. Thompson trying to set up the screen, and Warmack has space inside the 20-yard line for Dalvin Warmack. Biggest pass play of the game for Kansas State. 18 yards to set up first down.
Well, first it's window dressing because you bring in Warmack and you're thinking pass all the way, but Kansas State, this is just an extended run. So you get Oklahoma State thinking that they're going to throw outside. They dump the screen pass to Warmack, and the thing I like most about the entire play, the presence of mind to get out of bounds and save the clock.
So 24 seconds remaining in the half. 4 receivers, still Warmack in the backfield. He caught a touchdown last week against Baylor. Thompson looking end zone here for Harris. Incomplete, overshot with Bernard, the true freshman, again in coverage.
And with the time on the clock, now you're in just about, you're in field goal range, or comfortable. You should be comfortable here kicking a field goal. you can take a couple of shots to the end zone here. And you make sure you're telling Skylar Thompson, throw it to your guy where either he catches it or no one catches. Don't gamble trying to squeeze one in down here. It's on the edges of the field where it's going out of bounds and no one can pick this baby off. Maybe a tip over the middle.
The Cowboys may have gotten away with a tug from Bernard on the previous play, and here Warmack just flat drops it.
Well, he may run for the touchdown. If he catches that one in stride, he may have run for a touchdown. Had a linebacker trailing. Got to feel like he's going to outrun any linebacker at his size. 5'8", 187 is going to be able to scoot away from just about anybody when he catches one on the run. I tell you, Andre Coleman is calling some game. Of the play calling. One more shot here before the field goal attempt.
You certainly have to get to the first down marker or out of bounds. Thompson can't afford to take a sack here, and he does. That's going to, in all likelihood, end the half.
Yep.
5 seconds to go. They can't get the field goal unit on in time, and it's 6-3 going into the locker room. Jarek Bernard, the freshman free safety, comes in and picks up his second career sack.
Yeah, the one thing you can't do, and it's the #1 rule in the 2-minute offense, is you cannot take a sack. I mean, it's 1, 2, 3. The ball should be gone long before now. If you're bouncing 2 or 3 times, then it's way too late, and you wind up taking a sack. It cost Kansas State at the very least a tied ball game.
Well, Oklahoma State has won 19 in a row when leading at the half. Their lead is precarious, but it is a lead. 6-3. Just the way you draw it up in the Big 12. Chris Connor, Emmanuel Acho, and Jim Mora have your halftime report right after these messages. Welcome back to ESPN's presentation of college football, presented by Edward Jones. 3-point game here at the half. Oklahoma State and Kansas State. It's been all field goals. 6-3. Your halftime score with the Cowboys in the lead. Kevin Brown, Heisman Trophy winner Andre Ware. It has been a first half of miscues for Bill Snyder's Kansas State Wildcats.
Yeah, some golden opportunities. In terms of a long field goal attempt, not even close. That's 3 points off the board for Kansas State. And then you get to a kickoff return by Isaiah Zuber. If he just hugs the blocker a little bit closer, that's a kickoff return for a touchdown. That's a touchdown left on the board. And then they were driving, got into field goal range. #1 rule in the 2-minute drill, do not take a sack. Skylar Thompson did just that, and it knocked him out of field goal range.
The sack by Jarek Bernard to end the half, and a short kickoff taken by Oklahoma State's Sione Fine-Feyuiake out across the 30-yard line. First half stats: Kansas State has passed for just 29, kept it on the ground, and dominated time of possession. Feels like Oklahoma State's barely had the ball because of all K-State's running. The Cowboys will get it to start the second half. And again, the big number for Oklahoma State right now, Andre, is 4. That's how many carries Justice Hill has in the game. Just 4 for 16 yards.
Yeah, you know, you just kind of scratch your head because he's such a dynamic player and a big part of what they do offensively. And just not able to, to get him going today.
He gets a 5th there, and Duke Shelley, who had an interception, makes the stop for no gain. Hill well over 100 yards per game to start the year, and spins his way here to the 36-yard line, a pickup of 4, and a quick 3rd and 6 coming up.
Well, somebody went to Mike Gundy, or maybe Mike Gundy pointed it out, that, hey, our playmaker, our best weapon on the offensive side of the ball, it does not have it enough in his hands. So first 2 carries go to Justice Hill.
12 straight games with a touchdown. Big 12 record for running backs. Oklahoma State just 2 for 6 on 3rd downs against the nation's 5th worst third down defense coming in. Taylor Cornelius nearly intercepted, and Shelley was all over that route.
Shelley's not the biggest guy in terms of his size at 5'9", 180 pounds, but he can run routes with receivers. He's got a ton of experience, a 3-year starter, and boy, can he flat out just break on the football. Tremendous quickness. He's one of the leaders on this K-State defense.
Top 15 in the nation in passes defensed. He knocks away that one after the interception early. The spinning kick fielded by Isaiah Zuber at his own 29. He is immediately hit.
You impressed with the way Kansas State's playing today? I mean, they're trailing on the scoreboard 6-3, but some opportunities, as we mentioned, coming back here in the second half that missed opportunities that there are. But I'm impressed the way they're playing defensively. Alex Barnes off to a great start. 89 yards on the ground, just under 5 yards a carry, and they are right here in the thick of things on homecoming.
I mean, look, they've been physical up front. That's been impressive. They have defended well. They've just got nothing out of the pass game so far with Skylar Thompson, and they have only 3 to show for it. Thompson sticks it in the belly of Barnes, being driven down by Calvin Bundage. Another good run. 4 yards for Barnes on first down as he creeps closer to 100.
Yeah, what I like about Alex Barnes is the pile always seems to go forward when he runs. Second in the Big 12 in rushing, and averaged over six yards a carry coming into the ball game.
250 last week in the loss to Baylor, which was the 5th highest single game total in K-State history. And Andre Coleman said he was probably the most impressive guy in camp this offseason. Thought Barnes worked harder than anyone.
Yeah.
And you look at the numbers last week, it was a historic day. Most rushing yards in a Big 12 game for K-State in 15 years since Darren Sproles. What do you do here on 3rd and 4?
Back to your horse.
Instead, Thompson will look to throw. Quickly goes through the progression, runs it for the first down and a little bit extra.
And that's, as I mentioned earlier, he is not a power running quarterback that Kansas State has had here in the last couple of years, but he's got enough speed and quickness that when things open up, he can make plays in the open field with his legs, and he's done it on several occasions today, picking up first downs.
No Alex Delton, out for the 2nd straight week with an injury. Backup is Hunter Hall, who's never thrown a pass. All Thompson here in Manhattan. Keeps it on first down. Fires to Zuber, who's finally involved in the pass game. Isaiah Zuber ridden to the ground by A.J. Green. And K-State's leading receiver has his first catch today for 23 yards.
Yeah, and Skylar Thompson just lets this one rip. I mean, back across kind of his body, back in the middle of the field, and it's actually out in front of Zuber where he can catch it on the run, and he got some additional yards because of the accurate throw.
Think we'll see more of that? Thompson throwing on the run?
I think so. I mean, when you find out what a kid can do at that position, you start to game plan towards it.
Barnes with a cutback. There's a flag down. Thompson not particularly interested in throwing a block in the middle of it, though you can hardly blame him with the quarterback situation. But this appears to be coming back. Brad Van Vark, our referee.
It's thrown right at the feet of Tyler Mitchell, the right guard.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 62 of the offense. 15-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Replay first down.
And see, that's what really hurts you. I'm not sure what he did. Number 62 at right guard, maybe just an extra pile on. Guy was down, and yeah, he leads with his helmet as the guy's on the ground. I think you just got to let offensive linemen play. He finished the guy off is what he was doing.
There's his first-year coordinator, Andre Coleman. Kansas State had to replace both coordinators for the first time in 21 years. Dana Dimmel took over the UTEP job. Nice one-handed grab on a ball thrown behind Isaiah Harris, a redshirt sophomore from Fort Worth, Texas, with a terrific catch for 11.
And this is really not how this K-State offense is built to pick up, you know, first and 25. So to get back on schedule, they need something magical to happen here on second down. Otherwise, we may be talking about Coach Snyder and it being 4-down territory again for Kansas State.
Thompson in the pocket, and again, there's nobody to spy him. He's got all day to run, sliding down for a first down.
And that's the equalizer. When you go deep drops or you play man-to-man, you leave the middle of the field wide open. They decide to go zone and nothing in front of Skylar Thompson. Just a big patch of green turf, and he's able to pick up the first down.
Who should Oklahoma State be assigning to the quarterback?
Well, I think it's Bundage, one of the linebackers here. Justin Phillips has got to start spying on Skylar Thompson.
Barnes following the lead of his fullback Adam Harder for 3 yards on first down.
Harder, a walk-on after attending junior college before coming to Kansas State. Big guy at 6'2", 245 pounds. They do a nice job of run blocking. Harder, and as I mentioned, the right side, that's been the side that they predominantly run to behind Mitchell and Reisner along that right side. But this is an impressive drive being orchestrated here by Skylar Thompson.
Justin Silman is in 3 running backs surrounding Thompson on this second down.
Creeping guys close to the line of scrimmage, expecting blitz.
Just got the snap off. Give it to Warmack. And he is ridden down at the 10. First and goal, Kansas State coming up.
Boy, Barnes is big, physical. He's got breakaway speed. And then you go change it up with a change of pace back in Warmack, who's got great quickness, shifty. He's elusive. Doesn't take long to make a decision and get through the hole. And they're picking up a first down. Now it's first and goal to go for Kansas State.
9th play of this drive, the first of the second half.
Boy, this is where I may find Zuber on a slant route outside. They're giving it to him.
Barnes instead up the middle into the end zone. Alex Barnes has today's first touchdown here in Manhattan, and Kansas State has the lead.
What a drive. In 9 plays, I just remember 1 completion, and that was to Zuber. They may have dropped back with intent to throw it, but Skylar Thompson took off running on a couple of occasions. Boy, that really has been the equalizer for Kansas State, and it's allowed Barnes some extra wiggle room in which to run.
9 yards on the run for Barnes, his 6th touchdown run of the season, 19th career. Kansas State has the lead for the first time. A must-win in Big 12 play for the Wildcats. We're in the midst of another terrific afternoon for Alex Barnes, the young man out of Pittsburgh, Kansas, and in the midst of another terrific afternoon for Dalton Reisner, the potential day 1 NFL draft pick, and his offensive line. Here's the chart. It's been primarily the right side and up the middle for Barnes' success.
Yeah, and it may start in the middle, but it ends up on the right side. That's where the majority of the success is coming from, and rightfully so when you have a right tackle that is as highly rated as Dalton Reisner.
Chuba Hubbard with a run back for Oklahoma State. Flag is thrown, and a second one comes in at the end of the play. Chris Dugan fired up after the special teams tackle. We'll sort out the 2 flags with Brad Van Vark.
During the return, holding on the receiving team, number 11. That penalty will be 10 yards from the spot of the foul. First down. Media timeout.
Holding penalty against Amen Ogbongbemiga of Oklahoma State. Cowboy football when we return.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Oklahoma State back on offense after Kansas State takes the lead with a long drive. Now this is a game Kansas State really has to have any chance of making a bowl this year, with Oklahoma, TCU, Texas Tech, and Iowa State still on the schedule.
I would say it's a game that Oklahoma State needs equally as much when you have the schedule they have, with Texas coming in next week, at Baylor, at Oklahoma. And the pressure right now, Kevin, is on the shoulders of the Oklahoma State Cowboys.
Well, the pressure there was applied by Kyle Ball on that incomplete pass on first down.
And that's kind of all in a row. Texas, at Baylor, at Oklahoma, West Virginia, and then you finish at TCU. That may be the toughest finish of anybody in the country.
It's amongst the hardest remaining schedules for Oklahoma State, which has won 10 games 3 years in a row. Would have to run the table to do that this year, as Tyron Johnson makes the catch. 19 yards on a second down. Denzel Goolsby to tackle, and Oklahoma State has some positive movement.
Yeah, bad angle by A.J. Parker, the corner to that side, not coming up under control to make a sure tackle, cost him a first down.
Full house backfield, and the keeper for Cornelius bursting through across midfield. Another fine run for the 6'6", 232-pounder out of Bushland, Texas. 22 yards.
Big guy can move. I mean, this is a designed run. He shows it inside, and he pulls it quickly, which tells me it's a designed quarterback run. Get Justice Hill flowing one way and let the big guy rumble.
Cornelius, their leading rusher, with 54 on the ground on 4 carries. Hill 6 for 20 with a football here, and swarmed under after 3 by Justin Hughes.
They described him as he could make just about anybody miss. Tough sledding for that young man today. Kansas State have their radars locked on Justice Hill.
Cornelius faked it to Hill. Has to do something quickly. Throws on the run and couldn't connect with Johnson on a back shoulder attempt.
That's a big third down here for Oklahoma State when you're on the road in a tough place to play, trailing. As you get deeper into the third quarter, every possession becomes important. First-year starter and Taylor Cornelius hasn't been in many of these situations in his career, so you want to make sure that you stay in third and manageable when you go on the road for a guy making or starting for the first time.
They will keep it on the ground to Hill, who has a first down, but with a flag thrown from behind the play.
Yeah, that's generally holding, and this one's going to come back.
Holding, offense number 67. 10-yard penalty, replay third down.
Shane Richards on the right side of the offensive line.
Yeah, big versatile tackle at 6'8", 336 pounds. Another one of those guys from Calgary, Alberta. Right there, just kind of horse collaring or roping Bronson Massey, the defensive end that was over his nose. Just making it hard for themselves. This game's tough enough. When you have an opportunity to convert and move the chains, you just can't have that happen at that particular time in a ball game.
Oklahoma State has really been hurt by penalties in Big 12 play. More than 8 for 84 yards per game.
The game clock did not stop properly. Please reset the game clock to 7 minutes and 7 seconds. It'll restart on my whistle.
Mike Gundy's not used to looking up and seeing a single digit on the scoreboard at this point of the game.
No, not at all. Not with an offense that has put up 44 points a game. That's third in the Big 12 and 13th in the nation. Nowhere close to it today.
Third and a mile. Cornelius is sacked. Kyle Bull sacks Cornelius.
He beat Larry Williams, and they just go four-man rush, and you can create a lot of havoc and problems for an offense when you just rush four and you're able to get home. Big zone drops behind it because of the holding penalty, and Kansas State going to get off the field and have some decent field position.
Second sack for Ball, and this punt flies out of bounds.
Well, just a bad punt.
Zach Seiner, who dropped the ball in the end zone last week for his safety, with a kick of only 28 yards. College football on ESPN presented by Edward Jones, and there's a 10-6 lead for Kansas State with the football. Monday Night Football heads to Lambeau Field. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers against San Francisco, two of the great franchises in the league. 8:15 Eastern, 7:15 Central. Aaron Rodgers doesn't seem to miss his old target, Mr. Nelson, much. Having a great year despite the injury he sustained in Week 1 against the Bears.
This inverted wishbone look. Kansas State go right at this three-man front.
And once again, they give it to Warmack out of that formation. Good pickup on first down for Dalvin Warmack.
Boy, they are getting tremendous push. Tyler Mitchell, the right guard, is just driving guys 5-10 yards down the field when they decide to run block. And just now they've changed it up going four-man front because they can't stop this running game with just the 34 look that they've been trying to run up front for Oklahoma State.
Barnes motions into the slot, and Thompson throws it away from him. Zuber,
Great tackle.
excellent open field play. Zuber wrapped up immediately. Rodarius Williams, the brother of Greedy Williams, a standout corner at LSU, with a heck of a play of his own.
Yeah, he's a solid young player who just continues to get better, but this play ought to go on everybody's highlight film of how to stop a tunnel screen, because he was patient with it, avoided a block, stayed locked on the receiver, and then the best part of it, he finished the thing off.
Another third down faced by Kansas State. Thompson with time to throw and delivers a strike to Zuber for the first down into Cowboy territory.
Boy, excellent protection up front by the offensive line. Reisner and his group come through for Skylar Thompson. I mean, nobody comes clean. There's twist charges, there's, you know, delays, everything. Nice clean pocket. He can see the entire field, and that, along with that crossing route to Zuber, is about the best ball he's thrown all day.
A rare first down throw for Kansas State, and Thompson has it. Catch is made by Barnes, who was crunched at the end of the play with Bundage coming over. He hangs on for 28 yards.
Dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun. It'll be on SportsCenter tonight. One-handed grab by a running back, and then he took an absolute shot and still held on to the ball. Well, you talk about a complete back that can do it all. Run, block, and catch it out of the backfield. Alex Barnes is your man.
Bundage and Colby Peel on the play in coverage. But Barnes makes the play, and now Thompson keeps it. He's got room to operate. Skylar Thompson up and over and marked out of bounds at the 1.
I love the effort. Sometimes as a quarterback, you've got to put your body on the line for your team, and Skylar Thompson does exactly that. There are times to be smart. There are times to put it all on the line, and this is one of them. Don't shy away from the contact. Engage it. Get airborne. What an effort.
Field of the runner short of the goal line is under further review.
Yeah, take a look at this. I think he's going to be just shy of it. But man, does he touch the pylon, and where's the ball when or before he goes out of bounds? I tell you what, whatever the outcome here, that's one heck of an effort. Because it's a scoring play that can put you up in a game, 2 scores. I think it's going to be just shy of the goal line.
Remember, the call on the field was Thompson out of bounds.
He took off
around the 1.5.
How about that? The leap. He took off from about the 5-yard line.
Alex Delton, who's out today, is seen as the stronger runner of the two, but Thompson 9 carries in the game now, over 70 yards.
After seeing Skylar Thompson, I would say the power running game, yes, he may be the better of the two there. But when you're talking about a guy in the open field or from just a speed standpoint, and when things break down, they can make plays, this is a different dimension that he brings to Andre Coleman and Bill Snyder's offense.
Again, David Ames, our replay official's taking a look.
And when you see this now and you go back and you take a look at it on film, you start to game plan with those traits in mind for Skylar Thompson.
After review, ruling on the field stands as called.
Yeah, I felt like that's exactly what would happen. But now, you're right inside the 2-yard line. You got one of the better short yardage backs in the Big 12, and Alex Barnes. Just turn around and give it to him. Don't mess around with it. Get it to Alex Barnes behind Dalton Reisner and Tyler Mitchell, who are both having an outstanding game at right guard and right tackle, respectively.
Now Thompson goes out to the left. It'll be a direct snap to Barnes.
I'm about getting cute down here.
Barnes fumbled one of these last week, and here he is tripped up. Calvin Bundage with a stop, 2nd down and goal.
Because what it does is it doesn't allow you to get going towards the line of scrimmage and have some momentum. You got to wait on the snap to get to you. So that's a half a second that can allow for that type of penetration, which Calvin Bundage actually was able to do there. I don't know about this look.
Once again, Barnes. And he will walk in untouched. His 2nd touchdown.
Nice. Love it when it works. And both times, there's no doubt who you're going to run behind. The big fellow right there, Dalton Reisner. And you mentioned it earlier. We had a chat with him yesterday. A nice sit down. And it may be the best one that I've ever had an opportunity to do with a player. Just very engaging, open. Told him yesterday, when the NFL scouts sit you down for the interview process, that's going to be a home run. There's going to be a walk-off home run.
Extra point through. Kansas State has scored all 14 in the 2nd half. Reisner and that experienced offensive line clear the way for a walk-in touchdown for Barnes.
Watch me do this. Since 2012, I've been the coolest. If you do not get it,
France, Beecham, Holtorf, Mitchell, and Reisner, not a law firm, the offensive line for this Kansas State team. They have paved the way for nearly 200 yards on the ground. Alex Barnes has scored twice here in the 3rd. Kansas State in a must-win game leads by 11.
They should coin that one, the law firm.
Yeah.
I like that.
Would you be represented by the law offices of France, Beecham,
No doubt.
Holtorf, Mitchell, and Reisner?
I'd walk in and ask for their services, no doubt about it.
Okay. Chuba Hubbard with the fair catch. Oklahoma State will start from the 25. Huge day of college football. 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central, ABC or ESPN2. Washington visits Oregon. Check your listings for that one. Then on ABC, 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central tonight, Wisconsin and Michigan in the big house. Somebody will be officially knocked out of the playoff race. 2 one-loss teams in that game. 2 one-loss teams in Eugene.
You always ask me for my picks. Give me yours. Those 2 games,
Yeah,
Washington at Oregon.
I'm taking Oregon and Michigan. I go with the home teams. I don't think Washington has enough offense to survive the rest of its schedule without a loss, and I'll say it's today. Taylor Cornelius, meanwhile, on the run. Wallace was all alone for a bit. The throw is behind him. He had to come back. It's still a big play, though, as Tylan Wallace makes the grab into K-State territory.
They're going to continue to pick on A.J. Parker because his eyes aren't following the football. You're in zone coverage. You need to have your eyes on the quarterback. He lets the receiver get behind him.
Cornelius, deep shot here, and underthrown. Johnson in coverage there. Parker was in on the play, and Oklahoma State hits on one shot, misses on another.
What I like about Cornelius is his ability to change the pace of the football with his arm. When he needs to drill it, he drills it. When he needs to add touch to it, he's been able to do that. The last completion to Wallace, he did exactly that.
Keeps it and gets taken down immediately. Reggie Walker, who did not play the first half due to a targeting penalty last week, is the first one there for a loss of 2, and another 3rd and long coming up. Walker, their leader in sacks and tackles for loss, called for a targeting penalty in the 4th quarter last game. He is back and making his presence felt up front.
Well, the 3-year starter in tradition, he helped out as well.
3rd and 12. It is a handoff. Justice Hill, and Oklahoma State clearly angling for a manageable 4th down.
Yeah.
Hughes runs him out after 6.
Definitely going to go for it here, and when you run a play like that on 3rd down, your whole philosophy, or the way you're thinking, if you're Mike Gundy, is we're going for it on 4th down. Get as much as you can on 3rd down, and let's roll the dice here on 4th down.
Need the 29 of Kansas State. Cornelius, quick pressure came, completes it for the 1st down to Stoner inside the 25.
Another excellent young wideout. Finished last year with 44 catches, about 576 yards, but they blitz. They decide to blitz.
Justin Hughes, who has taken over at middle linebacker the last couple of games,
and
is down.
That's the blitzer. And somebody was responsible for Stoner. Got caught inside, and that left him wide open in the flat, and an easy throw and catch for Taylor Cornelius.
Hughes helped to his feet. Time for us to go to our championship drive update, brought to you by Dr. Pepper. The drive for the Big 12 championship. West Virginia and Texas, the 2 teams atop the conference, and they will meet November 3rd. But first, the Mountaineers have to get through an Iowa State team that won in Stillwater last week, and then some big games later in the year. Texas Tech, and then on Black Friday on ESPN, Oklahoma and West Virginia.
Well, West Virginia still undefeated, and they're 3 out of the 4 games we're talking about involve the Mountaineers, and then Texas Tech and Cliff Kingsbury's bunch playing some good football.
Chuba Hubbard slips through a hole on this 1st down carry for Oklahoma State. Jordan Mitty the stop after a gain of 6. We're under a minute in this 3rd quarter.
And now, if you're Kansas State, you're starting to worry about Oklahoma State getting a score here. Now, it's not anything to panic about, even if you allow a score. You just don't want it to be a touchdown. You can afford to give up 3 points, but you can't give up the big points.
A lot of pre-snap movement. Cornelius keeps it, escapes a tackler, and ducks across the 10 to set up 1st and goal. It was Wyatt Hubert who nearly had Cornelius by the legs, and he got away.
We hadn't seen this from previous Oklahoma State quarterbacks. This guy's a tremendous athlete that has proven today that he is more than capable of making plays running the football.
An all-state high school athlete in basketball and track and field and baseball and football. And he dumps it here to King.
Think about it. A former walk-on just kind of showed up at the building and told Mike Gundy he wanted to walk on as a quarterback. Waited his time, and he's dealing now.
I mean, his best offer for a scholarship was to Division II West Texas A&M. He's got the ball inside the 5, but his team's only put 6 on the scoreboard. Oklahoma State needs a touchdown in the worst way. K-State dominates the 3rd, and the Cats lead at home by 11. No active coach has more wins at his current school than Bill Snyder. Mike Gundy is 4th on that list. 2 Big 12 mainstays locked in a battle here in the 4th. Oklahoma State down 11, but with the ball inside the 5. Taylor Cornelius will give it off to Justice Hill, and he is down across the 2. Wyatt Hubert with a stop. 3rd and goal coming up, Andre Ware, for an Oklahoma State team that's kicked just 2 field goals in the first 3 quarters.
Well, it's not rocket science. Give it back to Justice Hill right here. Let him get himself into the end zone. And if you're Kansas State, you got to tighten things down. There's some good blocking angles, a little bit too wide along the defensive line.
Cornelius will keep it and run for it and score an Oklahoma State touchdown.
This kid can play. 5th-year senior or not, I think he's going to get a look after this year on the next level. He's got great arm talent, and he is a lot more athletic than the film will tell. Excellent block up front. Just enough.
It's the big Cowboy back, Jelani Woods, hoping to clear the way. And now Oklahoma State will try to make this a 3-point game. But Kansas State stops it with a timeout.
Timeout, Kansas State. Their 1st of the half. It'll be 30 seconds in length.
Well, this is huge for Bill Snyder. If he can hold here and just not allow this 2-point conversion, then you have Oklahoma State chasing. You've been able to chew up a great deal of time with your offense, and then at this point you start looking at it. All you really need is a field goal on your next possession, and it really puts Oklahoma State in a bind.
Well, these are the last 2 seasons the opponent's scores in games Oklahoma State has lost. Last year, Kansas State beat them 45-40. And the common denominator there, all 5 teams to beat Oklahoma State the last 2 years have scored at least 41. This is much different than used to be.
Kind of where has the team been caught looking down the road to next week with a home matchup against Texas? Trying to spread them out for maybe a quarterback draw.
4 wide left. They'll go with a fade, a play that doesn't have the kind of success rate that you may necessarily want on a 2-point try. Tylan Wallace has the ball knocked away by Duke Shelley. Great game for Shelley continues. Oklahoma State doesn't get 8, gets 6. And this is a 5-point game in Manhattan. ESPN College Football presented by Edward Jones. Kansas State offense presented by Alex Barnes. 2 touchdowns in the third quarter. K-State should get the ball back after an Oklahoma State touchdown and failed 2-point try. Wildcats have dominated time of possession, dominated the ground.
Yeah.
Maybe they've worn down this Oklahoma State front some, but the Cowboys need a stop. And the Wildcats will get it from the 25.
Look at it, it's still anybody's ball game, even with a score outside of a touchdown. Still anybody's ball game, and Alex Barnes has been very much part of this ball game. Dynamic moves on the outside. He's able to run between the tackles. Great speed to score his first touchdown there. They throw to him. Can he catch it out of the backfield? Yeah, even with one hand and a big shot, he's able to hold on, and then put him at quarterback and direct snap to him. He can get in the end zone that way as well.
250 on the ground last week, 108 here. He said that last week was his best game since he ran for 336 against Chanute High School back in his Pittsburgh High School, Kansas days. He'd also like to make sure everyone knows that of all the great fried chicken places in Pittsburgh, Chicken Annie's is the best. That's what clearly fuels Alex Barnes' success. We were talking to Alex and Dalton Reisner yesterday. Have great passion for each other. Dalton said he loves Barnes because he knows Alex is never going to give up on a play, even if he's tackled behind the line. He will fight for every inch he gets, which is not something, Dalton said, you see with every running back. Thompson out of the pocket here. Yeah, flag is down. A lot of contact, and it was Kenneth Edison Magruder.
It's just holding. I mean, he wouldn't let go, and even the crowd, it was so obvious. The crowd started to boo and get a little upset about the flag taking as long as it did to get the holding call.
Holding, defense number 3. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot, automatic first down.
6th penalty against Oklahoma State today.
Yeah, I mean, it was just obvious. Working on Justin Silman, I'm sorry, coming in and being a receiver out of the backfield.
Barnes on the left side. This Kansas State team has dominated up front in the second half. No surprise, Dalton Reisner and Alex Barnes told us this was their most physical and competitive week of practice they've had. And it stems from a players-only meeting that Reisner called on Monday. Dalton said after the loss to Baylor last week, one of the young players on the team came up to him and said, you know, if I were captain, if I was in your shoes, I'd call a players-only meeting. And Reisner took that young player's advice into consideration, went to Bill Snyder and said, Coach, I'd like to have a players-only meeting. Snyder said, just do it after practice and you're good. Whatever was said appears to be working, as Barnes has a huge hold in the middle of the field and a big gainer for a K-State first down, 24 yards.
Yeah, those player-only meetings can go either way, and if you start placing blame on coaches, they become kind of counterproductive. But if you're accountable for your part in it, it leads to the type of performance we're seeing today from the Kansas State Wildcats.
Barnes again. And exactly what you said was true of that meeting. Dalton and Alex Barnes said to us, this wasn't a meeting where players were getting on coaches or getting on the program. It was all kept in-house. It was all players talking about other players wanting to get more energy, wanting to hold each other accountable, and they felt this was the best week of practice they've had. It is showing in this second half.
You can't go into one of those things placing blame. You have to accept your part in it as to why the team isn't performing and what you could do better. And it seems to have worked.
Warmack in the game at running back, and he slithers his way across the first down marker for 5 yards. Kansas State continues to move the chains.
Yeah, the 2-year starter, Big Abdul Beecham, pulling around from his left guard spot to help Tyler Mitchell, and Dalton Reisner open up a nice little crease for Dalton Warmack. Excuse me, Dalvin Warmack.
Still a fairly soft box for Oklahoma State, and Warmack hurdles his way over a downed player to the 15 for 6 yards.
This offensive line, I mean, you got to take your hat off to them. They have been just downright nasty. Oklahoma State goes down. They punch one in. They get in the end zone, and they come right back and are going to answer in some capacity with points of their own.
6.2 yards per carry, and they've run it on every play of this drive. Thompson keeps it, pressured from behind, and down he goes. Another sack for the nation's leading team in sacks. That was Cole Walterscheid.
You just absolutely cannot hold the ball. Play fake, get it out. If it's not there, let it sail into the stands, out of the back of the end zone. But it puts a tremendous amount of pressure on having to convert on third down. And if you don't, it's a longer field goal attempt where I just said it was pretty much guaranteed some type of points. Not so much anymore after taking a sack.
Walterscheid with his second, the Cowboys 30th. They'll run a draw with Thompson, needs the 11 for a first down. Wow. And he's got it. Skylar Thompson, big time run of 14.
He just needed more room to run the quarterback draw.
Exactly right.
Excuse me, Mr. Thompson. I mean, the sack, and he comes right back, picks up an excellent block by Tyler Mitchell, the right guard. A couple of other receivers, Isaiah Harris in there mixing it up. Impressive young man.
First and goal, Kansas State. Barnes patiently waiting and finding pay dirt. Third touchdown run for Alex Barnes, and Kansas State has the answer.
Well, they got an offensive lineman down for Kansas State. Looks like it might be Abdul Beecham. But he goes right behind Reisner and Mitchell again. This is just an old-fashioned way of just behind the woodshed and just giving them the business. Not sure how he got tangled up, but they try to move Beecham around and it's tangled up. Maybe somebody fell on the back of his leg. I tell you what, I am impressed with Alex Barnes. So patient, yet so powerful, and the explosion once he commits to the hole is impressive. It's proven that he's a three-down back, can catch the ball out of the backfield, blocks well, and that is something you don't want to see when an offensive line is playing the way it's playing, to have maybe lose a player like Beecham.
2.5-year starter. Began the year at right guard, moved back to left guard where he started every game last year. France, Beecham, Holtorf, Mitchell, and Reisner. At the bare minimum, they're all 2.5-year starters. It is an experienced group.
I certainly hope we see him back in the ball game, as he has had some type of game today. But they love Josh Rivas as equally as much, and he has been pushing for playing time. The coaches feel like the redshirt freshman, he gets better every week, so maybe that's a hole that they can kind of plug him into for Beecham and hold up.
Extra point to make it a 2-score game from Hicks. 24-12.
And getting late.
Kansas State had 3 in the first half.
Curfew's in 9 minutes 41 seconds.
Dalton Reisner and Alex Barnes have dominated Oklahoma State.
ESPN College Football is presented by Edward Jones, because understanding what's important to you matters.
That was before the game. Dalton Reisner holding up the family piece of wood as Kansas State took the field. Reisner and his offensive line have paved the way for a huge day for Alex Barnes, single-handedly out-rushing Justice Hill and the entire Oklahoma State team.
Yeah, it's been crazy the last 2 weeks. The 2-week run Alex Barnes has been on, 50 carries for over 400 yards and 6 touchdowns. We still got 9 minutes 41 seconds left to play in this one.
Pretty good return for Chuba Hubbard out across the 30-yard line. Wall-to-wall college football today. ABC and ESPN 2:30 Central. Washington has to run the table to make the playoff. They got to win in Eugene. Tough place to do it. 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central. Wisconsin and Michigan, each looking to avoid a second loss. Chris Fowler, Herbie, Maria Taylor, and the gang will be down there for Saturday night primetime on ABC. Big one in the Big 12 here, and Oklahoma State has 9.5 minutes to find 2 scores, starting with a tough run for Justice Hill, 7 yards on first down.
You know, if you're Kansas State, you just can't give up a big play, a quick score to Oklahoma State. You've got to find a way to make them earn everything that they're getting.
Oh, Cornelius has a wide open receiver, and he underthrew Jelani Woods.
Yeah, underthrew it, but still, Jelani Woods should have caught that football. I mean, it's right in the middle of the 8 and 9 after he has to go down and try to make a catch, but that's one you got to have. I just talked about not giving up a big play. That's a catchable football. Should have been caught.
Woods, who had his first touchdown last week, converted high school quarterback, and that is just a miss. Big backfield on third down. Cornelius threw it high, and a great catch made by Wallace on a ball that was sailing out of bounds.
A little quick, almost a semi-hitch. Get to the first down marker. I'm going to hit you with it because a hitch is actually 6 yards deep. He went about 3, just enough to pick up the first down. But this is what I'm talking about. Them earn it.
Cornelius play fake, and another drop off the hands of Tyron Johnson.
Looks like if he doesn't go to Wallace, everybody else is dropping the football. Just totally surprised and blown away that Justice Hill hadn't been a bigger part of things today. And I'm not talking about just from a running and carrying the football standpoint. I'm talking about in the passing game, however you can get him the ball. That's where he's even more dynamic, is when he's out in space making plays.
Hill with his 11th carry here, and credit to Kansas State. They have done a good job on Hill when he's got the ball. That's 41 yards only on 11 carries. Third down and 9 coming up. Kansas State with the 5th worst third down defense in the country coming into today, but they have held up, holding Oklahoma State to just 4 of 11. Cornelius overthrown with Landon Wolf the target.
That's feeling the pressure of the environment. All day long he's kind of hit on those and made it look easy, but now you're down a couple of scores here. It's getting late in the 4th quarter. You realize they were trying to get some of it so we can go for it on 4th down. Maybe it's a bit tight. Too tight, rather.
Oklahoma State will punt. You understand that, but they've got to get a stop. I mean, you could understand if Oklahoma State considered a different 4th down decision, just because they can't seem to stop K-State's
guarantee you they
run game.
would have gone for it on 4th down had they gotten anything on 3rd down. It's getting late here in Manhattan, Kansas. Wildcats 24, Cowboys 12.
All-conference lineman Jordan Brailford on the left, Dalton Reisner on the right. Advantage to the young men in purple. A 21-point second half for Kansas State, which has had 3 long touchdown drives, and they have gashed this previously excellent Oklahoma State run defense.
Yeah, and this is where if you're Andre Coleman, you make it a simple game. Turn it over to the big grunts up front.
Alex Barnes has the ball, waiting patiently for a hole to develop. He'll run it for 3, and you can bet Kansas State is going to squeeze every last drop out of the play clock here.
And I'll make Oklahoma State, as it gets deeper into this game, start to spin those 3 timeouts that they have. Just don't get cute here. Don't outsmart yourself. Don't put yourself in a position where the ball's on the ground or you try to throw it and it's a tip and a quick score for Oklahoma State, and you got a different finish to this thing.
Snap it with 10 and throw it to Barnes. An extended run, more or less, and a chance for Barnes to add to his total all the way to the 46-yard line before Enoch Smith finally gets him down 18 yards on the play.
How about the end of this run? And a sign of a good football player that knows the situation. Alex Barnes going to put 2 hands on the football. As you mentioned, this is just an extended a pitch, so to speak. But then at the very end of it, he puts 2 hands on the football and covers it up to make sure there's no fumble taking place.
Barnes 207 total yards in the game, and the back here, Dalvin Warmack, for a yard.
They're trying to give Barnes a little rest. I'm pretty positive he's not going to rest long. Get a breather and get on back in there. And let's finish this baby up. Getting close to about 6.5 minutes.
Oklahoma State has 3 timeouts. One more first down and you may need to start using them. Still 6.5 to go. K-State has been unstoppable offensively this half on the ground. Here's a completion to a wide open tight end, Blaze Gammon. Only his 3rd catch in 33 career games. First down, gain of 12.
And as I say, make it a boring game. Andre Coleman shows the utmost trust in his quarterback, Skylar Thompson. Yeah, and I'm sure they've had the discussion on the sideline when Oklahoma State had the ball. Look, get the ball out quickly. So I'm going to trust you to get it out. We're going to scheme this thing up, make Oklahoma State think a run, and then swing it out to Gammon. Nice play call.
Back to the bread and butter Barnes. Now, if you're wondering, Barnes did have 3 fumbles, losing 2 in the opener against South Dakota. And Bill Snyder said, I can't recall ever seeing the young man fumble in a game of practice before that. Alex apologized to the fans, and he has really cleaned it up. So it is unlikely he would put it on the ground.
Yeah, and going back to that pass, just a little window dressing to force Jim Knowles, the defensive coordinator for Oklahoma State, to think about maybe we might throw the football. So you can't just crowd everybody in here to stop the run. We will still throw it with the amount of time on the clock left.
It had taken 3 minutes plus on this drive. Thompson throws it, and that will stop the clock. Incomplete pass with Reuter and Harris in the area.
That's one where he might have been better served to go ahead and just slide down, because it doesn't stop it stops the clock. You're still in bounds. Now that's like a 4th timeout for Oklahoma State. So I get the point that you want to pass it. It's a long developing play, but go ahead and slide down. No harm, no foul. Just get to the line of scrimmage. You may dive head first just to not not take the sack yardage.
3rd and 7. Thompson looking to run all the way. He escapes 2 tacklers, cannot escape a couple more, but here is a late flag. Oh, this would be a disaster for Oklahoma State.
The way Barnes is talking, there may have been a face mask that took place here, and this will give
face mask, defense number 56, 15-yard penalty from the end of the run. Automatic
Enoch
first
Smith.
down.
Automatic first down here for Kansas State, and that is huge. Yeah, he actually did grab just enough of the face mask of Thompson where the officials saw it. First down here on homecoming afternoon for the Wildcats, and they are on the move here late in the ball game.
Boy, that feels dagger-ish. Well, there's a lot of time left, but the way K-State has moved it. That is inexcusable for Oklahoma State and Smith. Barnes across the 20. Oklahoma State has 3 timeouts. Not going to use them yet.
I talked about the patience of Arian Foster. That's kind of who Barnes reminds me of. You know, where it's just patience and then the explosiveness once he commits to a run. He's about the same body type as well as Arian Foster, a little bit more stout in terms muscled up at 6'1", 225, but man, do I like him as a player.
This drive over 4 minutes long already. And Thompson gives it back to Barnes with room to run and a flag down in the backfield. So hold your horses.
This may be a hold here. Let's see if we can find it.
Defense.
Oh,
that
boy.
penalty is declined. The result of the play is a first down.
Oklahoma State just shooting themselves in the foot. Patience again on the part of Alex Barnes, letting blocks develop and set themselves, and by the time he accelerated around the corner, there wasn't a defender in the neighborhood until he had the first down. This is one of those seal the deal type drives.
A little bit like the drive Texas had to win at Kansas State a couple of weeks ago. The Longhorns just held on to the football for the last few minutes. Barnes around the corner. He is pushed out of bounds. A couple of yards shy with Justin Phillips in on the stop.
Guess who's leading the way? Pulling from right tackle. How many offenses have you seen a right tackle pull all the way around to lead a ball carrier? Shows you what type of athlete Dalton Reisner is. I mean, he pulls all the way around. He's leading the way. Maybe getting just a piece of the tackler there, but been impressed with him on and off the field.
Once again, Thompson splits out to the right, and the snap will go directly to Barnes. Barnes waiting to pick his spot. He's got the end zone for a 4th time today.
What a drive. What a drive. Your defense, they step up, provide the opportunity to seal up a game and go on what you call kind of your 4-minute offense, where you're just trying to get the game over with, run some clock down, and then the bonus in that situation is to put it in the end zone. They not only got the cake, they got the icing, the topping, the candles, everything with it.
5 minutes 32 seconds. Kansas State had to have this game. They have it.
Look, watch me, watch me, watch me do this. Since 2012, I've been the coolest. If you do not.
4 drives, 4 touchdowns for Kansas State. A perfect second half in terms of drive efficiency. Alex Barnes has scored on every last one of them. 89 in the first half, 92 on the ground in the second half. Another epic feast of a day for this K-State running game.
It's been impressive. I mean, when you needed to have a big drive, they were certainly able to put one together. They've avoided giving up the big plays, Kevin, to where there's a quick score and Oklahoma State gets right back in the ball game. Defense, you got to take your hat off to them as well, coming up with some big stops.
Sports Center tonight after Crawford Benavides on ESPN with Max and Stan. Teddy and Stephen A have their post-fight breakdown. Always an entertaining watch. The best from a busy college football Saturday. Top 10 teams all over the country on the road. And key moments from Dodgers Brewers game 2 and Astros Sox game 1. Sports Center after boxing on ESPN and the ESPN app.
Looking forward to that one. Terrence Crawford tonight.
Oh, that was nearly intercepted. It was Daquan Patton coming in off the deflection. Yeah, let's get your take before Teddy A and Stephen A's post-fight take. Who do you like in the fight?
Oh, Crawford, no doubt about it. I mean,
all right.
He's one of the best pound for pound in the business.
You got it.
No doubt.
Take it to the bank. Andre wears pick. Andre wears pick to click. Terrence Crawford.
Not many people are signing up to get in the ring with Crawford.
Taylor Cornelius has gone 15 of 29. Maybe his toughest day is Oklahoma State's first-year starter. We've not done well on third downs. And this Kansas State defense, led by Blake Seiler, the first-year coordinator, a whole lot of credit. You also point out another drop for Oklahoma State.
You know, it's getting to you when the easy ones, you're no longer completing the easy ones, the little out routes that you're building for depth along, you know, from the slot position. You got guys standing still, you can't hit them, the ball's going a little high. Pressure settling in on the first-year starter.
Cornelius will take off on fourth down and run for the first down. So for Kansas State with a win, it'll be 3-4 record for the Wildcats. Both teams have byes coming up. Oklahoma State's at 4-3, still a little bit ahead of the game in terms of making a bowl, but it is a brutal finish for both of these groups. Hubbard out of the flats. Chuba Hubbard fighting to get close to midfield. He is a yard shy of a first down. There's a Kansas State player down, Daquan Patton. I mean, for Oklahoma State, this is probably just a blip on the radar screen at this point. You win 10 games in 3 years in a row. It was always going to be a bit of a regrouping season without Rudolph and Washington. But the shocking thing about this game is simply the 12 in the Oklahoma State column. You can always count on them to score.
Yeah. No doubt about it. And, you know, it starts you to maybe even question yourself and what you can do. And, okay, was the game plan the ideal game plan coming in? We waited a long time to see Justice Hill get himself inserted into this game on a consistent basis. And I don't know that we've ever really reached that point. It's been awfully quiet all afternoon.
Oklahoma State with only 317 yards of offense. Kennedy's crew will certainly have better days, you figure, but they are more than 200 under their average number per game. Cornelius, home run ball here. Search of L.C. Greenwood and overthrown.
Good coverage there by A.J. Parker. Stride for stride with the receiver and timed it just right. Now you start to see the desperation in Oklahoma State's attack.
Cornelius to Hubbard. Young man they think is going to be a star at Oklahoma State. Now this certainly would knock Oklahoma State out of any last chance it had at the Big 12 championship game, and that chance was more or less run the table from here on out. But this will drop the Cowboys to 1-3 in the Big 12. It will also end what was one of the longest road win streaks in program history. Oklahoma State had won 7 in a row on the road, only 6-0 road team in the country last year, and that streak will end here in Manhattan.
Actually could still get to 10 wins if they were to win out and then win a bowl game.
That's true. You are the eternal optimist in this booth. That is a broken play. It sort of sums up the offense today for Oklahoma State. Bye week will be useful for this team before they return home to play Texas. Cornelius there's nowhere to throw the ball, and he is taken down. Reggie Walker, who again did not play in the first half due to a targeting penalty last game, takes a bow after the sack.
They're going to flag him for it.
After the play is over, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 50 woman of the defense. That'll be a 15-yard penalty. That's number 51's first unsportsmanlike of the game.
I dare say Bill Snyder will not be thrilled about this.
No doubt he's not going to be happy with that.
We'll wave goodbye.
The second bow, he may have gotten away with the first one. It was the second one that got him.
Especially after the targeting penalty to knock him out last game. Walker will sit out the remaining minute or so. Cornelius intercepted. Duke Shelley has another. He had a pick six against Oklahoma State here a couple of years ago, and today the Duke has 2 takeaways for K-State.
Not going to be the biggest corner you find, but in terms of just playmaking ability, this guy is something else. In zone coverage, there's no flat threat, which means there's no one coming from inside out, so it allowed him to turn and run with a receiver, and then he's trying to get to the end zone once he reels this baby in.
What a game for Shelley. 5'9", 180, and it didn't matter one lick in this one with 2 picks and a pass breakup. So here will be the only Kansas State drive of the second half to not result in a touchdown. Brutally efficient on the ground in the second half after they looked lost at points in the first half of this game. 6-3 Oklahoma State at the half turns into a rout for the purple-clad Cats, and Kansas State is on the board in the Big 12 in 2018. There have been questions about this program this year, and is this the worst K-State team in a while, and where are they going to go after this game? Well, they're going to go into the win column. Bill Snyder had a 5-1 finish to last season, and they are off to a good start in the second half here. 4 scores for Alex Barnes, 31-12 your final. Kansas State gets win number 3. Oklahoma State lost number 3. For Andre Ware and our entire ESPN crew, this is Kevin Brown saying so long from Manhattan. Time to take you to ESPN Goal Line.